I met a lovely lady by the name of Tiara. Tiara grew up in a really rough part of Atlanta, Georgia. Not a very good neighborhood. A lot of drugs, a lot of crime, prostitution, illegal gambling, all that stuff. Now, she was raised in a traditional Christian-style upbringing. Her mom was a very big believer in spiritual warfare, like angels, demons, spirits, that kind of stuff. We're really big into it. One thing her mom taught her to do whenever she was in the dark or she felt scared was just to whistle, because God loves whistling. That's what she used to tell her, and it worked. You know, she's a kid. She had a group of friends in high school, but one of the friends that she had, they were really close. They were really tight, and she didn't have a lot of friends. So she hung very tightly to the ones that she thought were her friends. And one of her friends was really big into, she was a goth chick, a spooky chick. She was into the whole satanic stuff, cultist stuff, voodoo, Wicca, tarot, and all that stuff. Everything that her mom taught her was bad. Everything. Tarot cards, Ouija boards, witchcraft. But she was always very kind to her, so she just didn't let it get to her. Well, one day she invites her over to her house after school. Now, her mom was just happy that she had a friend, so she said, yeah, sure, that's fine, because this girl only lived, I think she said, like a block away. So she goes to this girl's house, and she walks inside, and there's heavy metal music playing. The mom is into the same kind of stuff. She's got sage everywhere, and effigies hanging from the ceiling, and candles, and the dad, he's a bit of a weird oddball too. I'm not saying these were bad people. They were just into the polar opposite of everything that this poor woman was raised to believe in. So they hung out, they had fun a little bit, and at one point later in the night, her friend pulls out a Ouija board. We know where this is going. And she's like, let me show you how to use the Ouija board. We'll see if we can contact anything. And she's like, I don't think it's a good idea. But you don't want to look like a square in front of your friends. So she tries it. And of course, her friend moves it and freaks her out, and she's all paranoid and scared and freaked out. When it was time for her to go home, she leaves. She thanks her for the fun and all that. But while she's walking home, there was a power outage, and all the streetlights turned off. So she's trying to walk home, and it is pitch black outside. And much like where I grew up, people liked to act a fool when the power went out and it was dark. They liked to go out and hoot and holler and shoot off fireworks and do all sorts of craziness. So she's trying to walk home, and she's mortified. She's way too young to be walking home by herself. She starts feeling followed and really creeped out by everything that just went on. She starts to say a little prayer to herself, but she has this intense feeling of being followed. So she starts to whistle while she's walking home, like she was taught. And it always worked in the past, so why not? She gets several houses down, and she's starting to feel a little bit better when off in the distance, she starts to hear whistling also. Like, not her whistling, someone else or something else whistling. And it's whistling one of the hymns that she heard in church a lot. And it was one of the hymns. So she's kind of whistling along with it, but she can't seem to figure out where it's coming from. Not exactly close, not exactly far away, but there, for sure. And no matter how far she walked, it never seemed to get closer or further away. Now, while she's walking, she has this thought. So if whistling makes the angels come closer and, God whistles with you and he protects you and all this stuff, it kind of hit her, well, if I can hear whistling, that's because there's an angel here and it's protecting me from something. And that sent a shiver down her spine of that feeling of being watched that she felt before she started whistling. And she's like, is there something following me? So she stops and she looks and she's looking around. She's being very cautious as to her surroundings as best as she can, given how dark it is anyway. She's almost home and the whistling is still there. It's followed her now for almost a full block. She can see her house. I think she said she was like 5 or 6 houses down. The lights turn back on. All the street lights turn back on. But when they turn back on, they flicker a lot. before they actually kick fully back on. And she said it was horrifying because she's looking all around her, and she swore that behind her, maybe 4 or 5 lights down, she saw what looked like a man in a black hoodie with black pants and black boots, but he was really big. He had to have been like 7 feet tall. He was massive, and he was walking towards her with his hands at his side, but he was walking like really fast, and he was coming straight for her, and the lights were flickering, and it looked like every time the light would flicker out and then flicker back in, he was a lot closer. So it was like he was like teleporting through the street lights as they were flickering. And while she's seeing this horrific thing take place, she didn't realize until the last minute that the whistling had gotten very loud. And she said that right before he would have gotten one more light closer, which would have been almost right in front of her, there was a flash of light that came from the right side of the road going left, and it flashed past her, and the street light blew out, and it was just silence. And all the other lights finally turned back on and stayed on, and the guy was nowhere to be seen. She figured I was just freaking myself out. I'm probably just really tired. All that weird voodoo shit scared me, whatever. She gets home. Her mom gives her a little bit of a stink for staying out so late. She told her in the future, be home before dark. And she had a hard time sleeping that night, whatever. And a couple days after the fact, she's walking home from school, and one of her neighbors is out on the front porch. And she waves to her neighbor, and the neighbor's like, I'm glad you're okay. And she's like, what do you mean? She's like, well, I saw you walking home from my window when the power went out, and I saw that big man following you. So it was real. Someone else saw him too. So this was definitely a real person. Something was following her. Someone, something, an entity, whatever you want to call it, was following her. Someone else saw it. Where did it go then when the lights turned back on? A guy that big doesn't just disappear. You know what I'm saying? Anything that big doesn't just, poof, and it's gone. But she remembered that ball of light that flashed. She said it almost looked like someone turned the corner in a car too fast, and the headlights kind of blinded her for a second. It was just a light that just went across. And while she's walking home, she's kind of reliving the whole thing, and she's thinking about how strange it was, and that someone else had actually seen this person following her. And then she remembers too that once the light flew past and the guy disappeared and the light fixture blew out, she had forgotten about this, but the whistling stopped right as that happened, and she just walked home. She was only 2 or 3 houses down. So I was talking, we talked about it, and I told her, I was like, that sounds like some guardian angel stuff right there. It sounds like you had something nasty following you, something maybe demonic or negative energy or whatever you want to call it, and it was following you home, and you caught a glimpse of it, and a guardian angel swatted the thing out of the way or something. That's really weird, because she said if that hadn't have happened, and at the rate he was coming towards her, because he was teleporting through the streetlights as they were flickering, the next light he would have been standing probably right in front of her before this light just woof. If you're listening to this while you're driving, I hope you enjoyed it, and if you're watching this while you're driving, watch out for the streetlights. Have a good night, y'all. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, maybe even leave a comment, and check out my other videos, like this one. Bye-bye.